Click the links to join the channel here or on Subscribestar or Patreon. So let's take a little look through history to see what kind of people got this ball rolling. The kind of people who are stuck in a social media echo chamber where they say this stuff on social media because you're not reading people's facial, expressions and tonal inflections in their voice. You're just not reading their body language. And I don't mean that in like some kind of machismo way, like someone's going to punch you out or shoot you or something. I just mean you don't speak like this in person because you're dealing with other real human beings and who might have arrived at a different conclusion than you, and you're looking at them and you're saying these ridiculous things. And if you heard yourself say these ridiculous things to other adults, you'd feel like a child if you could see their facial expressions. Like they would look at you and they were seeing someone who they knew was having a meltdown, and that person having a meltdown would be you. You'd feel something called a little bit of shame, and then you adjust your behavior and go, oh, I probably have to speak to other adults or other human beings a little bit differently to try to arrive at the truth together, as opposed to just getting up on a soapbox and just saying the most insane things. Well, now you get on social media and you're in an echo chamber where there are no facial expressions. Everything's in print, and it's just like a miscommunication network where you can say things like this, just the most insane, just ramblings of a child to say this kind of stuff. And there's no pushback because if anyone disagrees with you, all you got to do is block them, and then you stay deeper and deeper in that echo chamber. But I mean, you can hide some things, but you can't hide the consequences of hiding those things. And then the consequences are, well, how's the show doing? Well, the show's on air to sell advertising space. That's kind of what every function, every TV show or anything you see like that it's there to sell advertising space or get some sort of revenues. So those revenues did come in. So the show is now no longer there. Do you think your behavior had anything to do with it? And not just him, obviously the Frosk thing too, but it's like these two people, Sessler and Frosk, these are poison pills to any organization and anything that they're with. If you look at them, you talk to them, and you're in any organization, you go, oh, these people cannot be dealing with the public. There's like the front desk people, then there's the people, working in the laboratory or something. And these are not the front desk people because they're abrasive and petty and bigoted and just hate-filled people. And they're not gonna work well with other human beings who are not exactly like them. And I think Frosk has got some like a borderline personality disorder because she's seen the world in a way that other people are not seeing the world, and she's completely clueless of what effect the things she's saying would have on the people around her. She gave this feminist rant, which helped torpedo the company, and then the people slowly started quitting, which was they saw the writing on the wall and got out ahead of it, and they just left. And then other people's like, oh, so you've been here for 6 months for the revival, and you're quitting after 6 months. Weird. I wonder if that bodes well for the company. And then other people got fired, and then she said that she survived. Let's play some games. I'm like, are you? Like, you're not playing with a full deck if you think you to say something like that. Like, clearly something is wrong with you. To give the feminist rant in first, but then just come on Twitter and say, hey, everyone got fired, but I'm still here. It's like, yeah, but they got fired because of the words you said. That's something wrong with you. You got snakes in your brain. And then, of course, everyone got fired. She got fired too. So her and Sessler, and I don't know about the other people, I assume they're just as bad, but these people are poison pills in any organization. If you walk in and you see them, you're like, oh, this is not the place for me. It's just too much work, like putting out the fires that they would cause, where unless they're superstars, like they're the goose that's laying the golden egg, you just get rid of them and get people who are not assholes. Like if you don't have to be around assholes, don't be around assholes. So what happened? Well, she got fired and she sold out G4TV to shift the blame. And like I said, again, I don't think she's playing with a full deck. And that doesn't excuse the rest of them. I mean, they can't all be crazy, right? Or what are the odds of collecting a bunch of mentally ill people together to work on one show? The thing is, I think they're just deep in an echo chamber. You know, you're in an echo chamber where you think a lecture on feminism is appropriate. It's not. It's never appropriate unless you're doing some kind of like Mary Sue show, or like the feminist frequency show, which is still on the air and nobody watches. Yeah, okay, they're there for a lecture on feminism. You're speaking to the choir there. But a game thing where you're talking about video games and you're insulting the audience. It's not just you that's mental illness. It's just that everyone is associated with you, sitting on the couch with you. I, they pre-approved that, or they were afraid to get up and stop. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe they're not gonna stop you right in the middle of your rant, but they sure as hell don't have to applaud. They can just look there straight faced and kind of like mildly disapproving, kind of try to distance themselves from you, which is what, like, you don't have to get up and walk away, but you don't have to applaud like Sessler did, which was fucking weird. And which is, giving a lecture on feminism for a video game show is pretty weird, because the show used to be a tits and ass show with girls in bikinis and sex jokes and eating hot dogs and just stupid nonsense. But it's like, that's what the show was. And also because they're a channel that's supposed to talk about video games and have eye candy in the background, which I guess you could do, not too long ago before the current feminist revival. There was a feminist revival from like, I don't know, 2013 to 2015, 16. And then as soon as Trump got in office, it all ended for some reason. I guess they had bigger fish to fry. But I mean, that's the history of your show. It's girls in bikinis, in the background while talking about video games. Like, you knew your target audience, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We need more chicks in bikinis. The show would probably do better if Frosk was in a bikini. Like, after that rant, you should have made fun of the whole thing and put her in a bikini and a bondage costume or something, just to poke fun at yourselves. But I mean, that's not the kind of thing you're going to do. I mean, because if they had that kind of sense of humor in the first place, they wouldn't be giving feminist lectures. But the whole thing shows a disconnect between the people working on this show and in pop culture in general. And it's not just them. Obviously, Hollywood in general, Hollywood is the term for all these kind of left-wing stuff. They're all very left-wing. But the shift is that they think it's time to take the mask off and put their Marxist nonsense in everything, to the point of giving a feminist lecture while talking about video games. So social media is really to blame, because it's made everything worse, because there's a lot of pseudo support on social media, because there are different layers of virtue signaling. A company's internal memo about diversity, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, like she's referencing it here. It doesn't mean they want you to it doesn't mean anything. It's just like a CYA thing that a company will put out internally to say, hey, look, we released this memo on some bullshit cultural Marxist Saul Alinsky Frankfurt School talking points. Oh, should we do anything with this? No, absolutely not. It's just internal. It's just there. So if anything ever happens in the future, we can say, yes, well, we did release these memos. Oh, okay. Well, it shows that you kind of had a policy in place. It's all controlling the optics in case anything happens from it. It doesn't mean they actually want you to do something about it. That's like internal stuff and external stuff are completely different things. And it's weird that, did she purposely not understand that? Yeah, like, these kind of people who are purposely misunderstanding things. So I can't imagine that everyone was on board Frosk's rant. I can't wrap my head around that people would think that something like that would go over so well. Not for a company that was struggling to get views in the first place, to have a comeback type of thing. It doesn't make sense to ever insult the customer, which makes me wonder who exactly was on board with the plan. Like, maybe she never got permission or pre-approval, which would make more sense, because, excuse me, algorithm, but it's a suicide pill, which is why you obviously don't see too much of this type of stuff. People lecturing you on, hey, we're going to talk about pop culture, but first, a feminist lecture for 5 minutes. Why don't you just end the show? You'd be better off if you didn't do such a thing. I mean, why don't you just burn $100 bills? Oh, would that save us money? Yeah, you'd save money by burning $100 bills in place of giving a lecture and insulting the audience. Absolutely. So people can be dicks on Twitter, but they can't get weird on the mainstream platform itself. That's just insane. And the support from her co-hosts was also nuts. Though I guess I could go back and look at it and see who was supporting more enthusiastically than others, and who knew what the future was going to hold for this kind of thing. Then her not getting fired, which is even worse. She should have been fired the next day. It's such a disconnect between not reading the room and thinking that the audience would be on board with it. Like, You're insulting the people who are, oh, no, we're not insulting everyone. We're just talking to the people who objectify. Yeah, but we don't want to hear it. It doesn't feel good to hear that. You don't want to hear someone insulted right next to you. You don't want to hear it. It's just not what people are there for. And it's weird that you wouldn't know that. So G4TV is an example of a bunch of poison pill people all stuck in an echo chamber where they talk themselves into a far out, like they think other people are going to be on board with this, like they're being stunning and brave, but the general audience that's not what they're there for. They're there for, at one time they were there for the tits and ass, the girls in bikinis, and also to talk about pop culture. It was all just a fun environment. And then you start, well, we're going to get rid of the tits and ass first. Oh, okay. Well, are you guys really funny and insightful? No, not really. Okay, then why are we here? There's a bunch of fat, schlubby, ugly people who make mistakes talking about games, and then they also apparently hate the audience and want to lecture us on feminism. You're like, oh, well, so what percentage of your audience is male? Probably most of it. So now what percentage of them wants to get lectured on feminism? Oh, or would accept it? Oh, a small percentage. So you're saying the majority of the people there don't want to hear that? Yes, that's right. Did you ever stop to consider that? No, because we know what's good for them. Oh, yeah, but that's like, this is a commercial enterprise. Your goal here is to sell advertising space. Do you not understand your position? You're talking about video games, but you're also selling advertising space on YouTube or on TV. Like, that's the bottom line. You've got to have money coming in to make the show happen. You guys they're not just some asshole with $100 Kindle. They've got people behind the scenes. I mean, they've got editors. They've got camera people. I can't imagine how much money. At first I thought, oh, it's just the people in front of the camera who also, like, when the show's over, they're doing all the editing and the show prep, and they're doing it all themselves. Apparently not. They've got people to do that. It's like, okay, so you're paying like over a dozen people to run a show. You better have a ton of eyeballs. You better have a ton of engagement. I mean, that's like you need $1 million a year coming in to pay for all that kind of stuff. And then you think, okay, well, we're also going to insult the audience, and we also need that $1 million a year to fund everything. Oh, that's weird. Why'd you do that? I don't know. Are we crazy? Yeah, at some point you have to look at these people and go, I don't know a better explanation to say that, like, do you not understand how money works? You don't understand that you're in a business? This isn't Tumblr. This is a business. And, like, you effed it up for everyone else involved. Like, there are the people who are doing the editing and prepping the shows for you. And I look at the people who are prepping the shows, the stories. And here's the power of YouTube nowadays. If you have those people who are prepping stories, well, then all they have to do is get on camera and do the show themselves. You don't need to double it. You don't need the people, because the people who are on camera are not, like, exceptionally good looking. They're just fat, schlubby, ugly people. If you already have the nerds behind the camera who are prepping the shows, why don't you just have them do everything? And that way you're only hiring. That's what I thought the show was. I assumed that was how it was working. Because the people you have on camera are not, like, they're not stunning personalities, and they're not good to look at. They're just nothing. They're just essentially actors who are knowledgeable video games, but none of it makes sense when she's making mistakes about the video games, and she goes, oh, yeah, I don't even write the segments. I'm like, well, then why the fuck are you there then? Why are you there? You're ugly, you're abrasive, you're obnoxious, you're annoying, and you hate the audience, and which is male, and you hate men. Who hired you? It's not her fault. It's not any of the people's fault. It's like, well, who was pulling the strings on this? You look at them, whoever Comcast got these people together. It's like, how did you check these lists? It was a diversity checklist. So we got a black guy, we got a lesbian chick with tattoos. Yeah, but do they connect with the audience? Oh, no, not at all. Okay, so why'd you do it? Like, what the hell is going on with Comcast? Oh, well, we did it for a year and it didn't pan out. Yeah, but, like, you didn't even try to make it successful. Like, how much money went into this and just went up, disappeared? Like, is this just some money laundering scheme? Is it really possible that people are making these decisions so badly, and like, you still are at some major corporation? Are you just, like, is everyone behind the scenes just doing mountains of cocaine or something? Something where you have such excess cash coming in that you don't have to worry about the bottom line? None of this makes sense. I mean, it's like, if I came into this and I saw Frosk, the tattooed Frosk, and I saw the other people working on the show, I'd be like, okay, none of them are attractive. And attractive people attract people. It's a TV show, right? There's a reason some of us have faces made for radio, and they're not personable, and they're abrasive. And like, so I'm gonna look at them and go like, well, what do you guys bring to the table? Why wouldn't I just get some like 20-year-old hot chick in a bikini to read the cue cards, the what do we call that digital display now? The thing that Biden always messes up. Like, I'll just go get like a 22-year-old college girl to read this stuff, and some funny guy, some comedian or something who wants a part-time gig. Why would I hire all these assholes? Oh, I don't know. Like, none of this makes sense. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next episode.